If you really want to improve and climb faster, then make sure you watch this video right to the end. I hope you enjoy and learn something. What is expected of the jungler? A decent jungler will know when to farm, when to gank, and when to go for objectives. A great jungler will know when to invade, when to counter gank, and will know how to abuse the lack of summoner spells as well as doing all of the previously mentioned things. Jungle is one of the best roles to carry from because they have such a huge impact on the map. In my opinion, it's one of the harder roles to play because it relies a lot on map awareness and decision making. A good jungler will know where to be and when, giving the impression that he is everywhere. When should I gank? The most common time to gank will be around the 2-minute 30 mark, when you've cleared your blue buff, red buff and a small camp. At this point you have hit level 3 and depending on the champion you will have a varying amount of health. If you are healthy, look to gank an overextended lane. This will most likely be top or mid. However, if one of your allies are overextending, then don't ignore them because the enemy will see this as the perfect opportunity to gank. Whether they do or not will depend on the champion they are playing, but it is generally a good idea to stay nearby in case the enemy ganks. Ganking in the early game is much more important than later into the game, because you can start your teammates snowballing and in certain matchups, one kill is all it takes to permanently win or lose that lane. The later the game gets, the less opportunities you will have to gank, because the laning phase should be over and both teams should be grouping. Ganking too much without much success will put you behind, and you won't have enough gold and XP to be of any use. However, farming too much will mean the enemy jungler will have probably ganked your lanes, putting your team behind. Finding a perfect balance between ganking and farming is crucial, and you will have to learn how to manage this through experience. How to gank. When ganking, ensure there's always communication between you and your laner. The perfect gank should generally have your ally engage their opponent as you are entering their lane. This means the enemy is focused on fighting rather than fleeing, ensuring their death or at least a summoner spell as you arrive. There are times when this won't work, and this is because the enemy has a lot of damage and is already fed. If your ally engages before you arrive, then they will die before you can do anything. The most common type of gank is from the river. This works best when the enemy is very pushed up and overextending, meaning you can punish them for lack of wards. This is one of the faster and less risky methods of ganking because if it fails, you can immediately go back to farming without having lost much time. Another method is lane ganking. This only works for top or bot lane since they have bushes close to the player in which you can hide. The objective is to sneak into the bushes without the enemy noticing you. You then wait for the enemy to move towards you and then you spring your trap. This is a less common form because it is time consuming. If the enemy has the bush warded, then you can end up wasting a lot of time since they know you're there. The most risky type of ganking is tower diving. In this situation, your laner will shove the minions into the enemy's tower. You then choose who will take tower aggro and then proceed to both attack the enemy. This is the most risky play, since if you don't have perfect coordination, then you, your laner or both could die. For this reason, I would say stay away from this method of ganking since the risk outweighs the reward. Who should I gank? When deciding who to gank, you need to think about the situation that each player is in. If a teammate is 0-4, then that lane is most likely lost, and so if you gank them, the most likely outcome is you kill the enemy, but either you or your ally will die. In the worst case scenario, the enemy gets a double kill. In circumstances like this, it's generally better to ignore that lane as they've simply lost. Lanes which are 0-1 are slightly losing and have a chance of coming back. Ganking these will help your friends out and you can get your ally back into the game. A nice trick which people don't expect is to immediately return to a lane which you've just ganked. So you go up, gank them, then you pretend to leave and hide in the fog of war for about 10 to 20 seconds and then immediately return. A similar trick, which works best in top lane, is to gank and kill the enemy. If he then TPs in, you can just come right back and do it again. Since you've just killed him, you are most likely to be a high level and will kill him again, or at least get a lot of his health. This has the added effect of making him annoyed as you're camping that lane. Ganking lanes which are already ahead can be an easy way to get yourself some gold and help tilt the enemy. Since your allies are already stronger, ganking them means the kill or kills are almost guaranteed. Yes, that enemy will be worth less gold since they've died a few times, but killing that opponent then allows you to take the tower with your laner, providing more gold for the team. When ganking, there are two things you should try to consider. Firstly, do you have enough damage to kill the target? For example, if you're ganking a Garen as a Mumu and your laner is Malphite. While it is possible to kill Garen, since you are lacking on high damage, the chances of him escaping are higher. Secondly, when ganking you should consider, do you have any crowd control? Lanes with CC are easier to gank, or if you as the jungler have crowd control, then the chances of a successful gank will be higher. What champions should I play? I would say playing tankier junglers will result in a higher success rate. These champions tend to have high base damage, and if you build one damage item then go full tank, you'll be pumping out a lot of damage while remaining hard to kill. I also advise these champions over others like Master Yi, because even though Yi has a lot of damage, if you get caught out of position then you will instantly die. If you can, pick a champion that will help round out your team comp, as this will improve your chances of winning a lot. If your team doesn't have a tank and you don't play one, then the longer the game goes on for, the harder it will be to win, since when it comes to late game team fights, you have no frontline. It's not impossible to win, but it's generally more difficult. Champions with crowd control are also quite useful, since quite a few people will be out of position, and this will allow you to lock them down, buying enough time for your team to arrive and secure the kill. Neutral objectives. Getting good Dragon and Baron control is very important as a jungler. While some champions can do Dragon by themselves, it is much safer to gank a lane and force the laner to back or kill them, and then proceed to use your numbers advantage to secure the Dragon. This way, even if the enemy know you're doing it, you have the numbers advantage, so you should have the upper hand. If you see the enemy jungler on the top side of the map, then this creates a window where you should try to get neutral objective control. Since he has shown himself on the other side of the map, you should call your laners to push and help you do Dragon, since once again, you would have the numbers advantage. For Baron, my rule of thumb is do not start it unless you know that the enemy can't stop you. So if the enemy has 2 people alive and you have 5 healthy members, then you can do Baron. But instead, if there are 4 people nearby, then it is too risky, since Baron does a lot of damage and you could end up dying. Warding. Vision is key when jungling, since all the decisions you make are based on the information you have. If you have no wards, then you don't know where the enemies are, so your decisions are made on bad information. The more info you have, the higher your chances of success. I recommend all players buying 2 pinks when they can, having one on the map and the other in their inventory. The sooner you can do this, the better, since the early plays dictate the pace and direction of the game. The later the game goes, the fuller your inventory will get, but having pinks will still be useful. As a jungler, you can ward for your laner if you feel like the enemy jungler will gank them. Otherwise, I believe warding the river will give you the best chance of spotting the enemy. 2 sides of a player. In my opinion, I believe there are 2 sides to a player, mechanical and strategical. Junglers rely more on the strategical side, since it is knowledge and judgment which enables them to be in the right place at the right time. There are mechanically difficult champions, such as Nidalee and Lee Sin. However, I believe that you will find much higher success from less mechanically challenging champions. Strategic players and carry players are suited to the role of jungle, since you can have a big impact on the game. You can either out-rotate your opponent with map pressure, or you can simply gank and kill everyone. Player mentality. Quite a few people play ranked with the wrong approach. They play to win rather than to improve. Imagine you're in a swimming pool and the water is up to your neck. You're currently bobbing up and down and not going anywhere. So, what you want to do is learn to swim. This will allow you to get from one end of the pool to the other. Now imagine that there are 4 other people in the pool near you. These are your teammates. They might be bobbing up and down, swimming quickly, or just flailing about. The point is, they don't affect your ability to swim. Sure, the ones flailing will send waves your way, making it harder for you, but at the end of the day, if you've learned how to swim, then you will find that these waves don't have too much effect on you. So when you come to play League and you want to climb, focus on one aspect of your playing and aim to improve that. Once you have improved on that aspect, choose another, and over time you'll find that you've become a better player. An important part of climbing in ranked is frame of mind. Make sure you are calm, focused and prepared to play. When you get into game, I would mute the enemy team so that they can't get under your skin. You should mute any teammates who are flaming, as they will just make you lose focus. After your game, even if you win, I feel like if you are tilting, then take a break. Talking to people might help you, as just sitting and not playing League will not remove the tilt. Other people find leaving the computer or doing something else will help. Thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed it and I hope this was beneficial. Please leave a comment in the section below if there's anything you'd like to see next time.